So Sonia, you go into the nonprofit side, into the education side. What was the first step? Like you've done a lot since then, but saying, all right, I'm going to pivot here. What was the first thing that you were like focused on when you went into that space?
When I went into education?
Yeah. What was, is it, hey, I'm going to help Latinos? Is it, I'm going to help like,
Yeah.
what was the main driver? Because you take a pay cut, no? Right. Like you're going into an area where you're doing this because you wake up every morning and love it. So what was that drive?
Right. When I first pivoted into education, I think it was 2009. And it was a combination. So prior to the bubble burst, I was helping a lot of my clients fix their credit. Right. And so there's all these myths about fixing your credit or right. So as a broker, you want to provide that value to your client and create some loyalty by helping them repair their credit, right? It's not rocket science. You just got to do a little bit of research and figure that out. So I was pretty talented in coaching them on what to do. And then alternative forms of credit were also popular before 2008. And that just means that people would bring in their bills or their utility bills or their phone bills. And in our culture, they started validating tandas, TANDAS. So it's just like a savings when a group of people and you pitch in an X amount and then you get the cash and it just goes full circle, right? And so they started validating that as a form of down payment or savings because it wasn't sitting in the bank account, but it was a cultural thing for my community. So then that kind of was the impetus for me to start coaching clients on how to save, how to build your credit, get a secured credit card. So that aspect of real estate or brokerage, I developed a talent, so to speak. And so then I was recruited by the Center for Working Families to provide financial coaching. And so when I started doing that, it just made sense. I said, okay, I can fix people's credit and then sell them some houses later when they're good and ready. So I did that for a few years. And then I just missed real estate. So I left. So I was like, I really want, the money's over here. I'm going to go do this. And then again, the bubble and, losing money on deals. And so then I believe if my chronology is accurate, I believe I went back in 2007 back to brokerage full time, coming out of, the financial coaching. And then I just couldn't sustain that anymore. And so then that's when I went into access to higher education. And that was through financial aid and tax preparation. So it was a combination of doing taxes for low-income folks and completing their financial aid forms for higher ed, right? Because you need the two to successfully apply for financial aid for higher education. And look, I'll tell you this. I was a grown woman when I enrolled in undergrad. I was already fixing and flipping. I was making pretty good money in 2002. And I knew how to finance homes, right? And those types of assets. And I thought I knew everything about finance. I didn't know squat about financial aid because again, I'm a first generation college student. My parents didn't teach me about direct subsidy loans. They didn't know about the Pell Grant, the MAP grant, the FSEOG grant, and all the other grants and scholarships that I had to dig for. So when the time came for me to enroll, I was just taking out the student loans. I was taking them out, right? Paying for books, paying the mortgage, paying the broken water, heater. So, I just like, I'll worry about it later. I'll take the loans out and I'll worry about it later. So for me, getting into that space was really preparing me to help my children matriculate. And so I got to tell you, my daughter graduated with her master's in social work with like practically zero debt. So awesome. That's a combination of her effort and then some of my guidance, right? So that's how I ended up in the education space. And then I realized I'll never get rich. I'll never be able to retire working in education. So then I tried going back to real estate, and then I enrolled in school full time at the Roselle real estate program. I was like, okay, once I finish this program, I'm gonna go off into different pathways or venture off into different pathways.
No, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. What the Rose? Because a lot of our listeners ask about
that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, like. Was it worth it? And you can tiptoe around this answer. Would you do it again? Was it worth the cost for the knowledge and connections that you gained over there?
Yes. Yes, it was worth it for me. Yeah. Yeah. Here's why. Here's the personal reason why. When I was in undergrad, I was working full time, working a second job. And real estate was like the second job, right? But it was really full time because you do it on the weekends when people are off. So I was working 2 jobs. I had 2 kids. I had a house. I had to juggle life and all these things. And I hated it. I was going to class 2 nights a week. It took me 5 years to finish undergrad. So I'll never wish this on my worst enemy ever again, right? I'll never do this again. So then when I realized I'm not going to make any money in the nonprofit or in education, this is not going to help me and my family. I realized I was like, okay, I got laid off from CPS. I remember I got laid off from CPS and I was already in school and they laid me off. And I was like, this is my opportunity to inundate my student experience, right? To like explore what it is to be a full-time student. And I took advantage. I milked it. I got involved in the student real estate club. I got involved with ULI because they pay your memberships for 2 organizations. So it was ULI that they paid your membership for. And I think NAIOP also got a $5,000 scholarship from CoreNet, that's Corporate Real Estate Network. I met a great guy there who ended up hiring me as a contractor after I graduated. And so just the relationships and you'll get out of it what you put into it. So if there's anyone out there who's interested or exploring that program, it's a well-funded program, great opportunities. It explores careers outside of brokerage, which when I came in, I didn't understand all the different channels, right? Everything that it's not just real estate brokerage, just so much more beyond that. So it really opened my eyes, met some great people, and they're well funded. So it's affordable for sure.